Look closely at your hand, because its color is the surviving record of an ancient bargain made beneath the sun. Too much sunlight once damaged human DNA. Yet too little also slowly weakened bones and threatened entire families across generations. The sun never hated humanity, but it never cared who survived, who died, or who lived long enough to reproduce. So our bodies changed, gradually through migration, hunger, childbirth, and countless generations struggling beneath unfamiliar skies over immense stretches of prehistoric time. Most surprisingly, every skin tone visible today began within the same ancestral human population living in Africa beneath relentless equatorial sunlight. Light skin is not more advanced, and dark skin has never been evidence of being less evolved in any biological sense. Every shade is simply a different answer to the same question the sun repeatedly asked our ancestors through countless dangerous generations. How much sunlight could the human body absorb before the very thing sustaining life began silently destroying it across changing environments? About 300,000 years ago, the earliest Homo sapiens emerged in Africa with skin naturally rich in protective melanin. This was not an aesthetic choice, but essential biological protection beneath some of Earth's most intense ultraviolet radiation ever recorded. Skin does more than cover the body. It is a living organ responding constantly to heat, sunlight, and injury every day. Ultraviolet radiation can break chemical bonds, damage DNA, and produce dangerous mutations inside vulnerable human cells throughout the body over time. Melanin absorbs and disperses part of that energy, functioning like a natural sunscreen that remains continuously active throughout every exposed day. More melanin meant better DNA protection and less accumulated cellular damage across years of relentless exposure under powerful equatorial sunlight. Under intense sunlight, that small advantage could determine who survived long enough to produce healthy children and raise them successfully. Across countless generations, natural selection preserved variants that helped humans tolerate powerful sunlight more effectively under those punishing environmental conditions. But cancer was not the only reason darker skin became critically important for our earliest ancestors during humanity's earliest African history. Sunlight also threatened something smaller circulating inside their blood and directly influencing the development of unborn children during early pregnancy and birth. That substance was folate, a form of vitamin B9 essential for developing the brain and spinal cord during early pregnancy. During early pregnancy, severe folate deficiency can cause developmental problems that may never be fully reversed throughout the child's entire life. The danger is that ultraviolet radiation may contribute to folate degradation after penetrating skin and affecting compounds within circulating blood. In equatorial Africa, our ancestors had no enclosed clothing, durable roofs, or modern sunscreen protecting them during prolonged daily exposure. Pregnant women with less melanin may have lost folate faster under conditions of constant, intense sunlight throughout every unprotected day. This threatened not only the mother but also the child's development, survival, and the community's future across many vulnerable generations. Melanin therefore protected two targets simultaneously: adult DNA and the biological future of the next generation within the same harsh environment. Two entirely different dangers were answered by one evolutionary solution written directly into human pigmentation over thousands of human generations. In that environment, darker skin was not merely helpful. It was close to becoming essential for survival for entire communities. Yet this nearly perfect shield would become a serious problem once humans began leaving the African continent toward colder northern environments. Humans did not leave Africa through one organized migration with a single destination clearly planned beforehand by any central leader. They moved gradually across generations, each group reaching another valley, river, coastline, or unfamiliar hunting ground far beyond familiar territory. Eventually, their descendants spread through the Middle East, Asia, Europe, and regions receiving far weaker sunlight across the ancient world. Farther north, sunlight arrived at lower angles and traveled through more atmosphere before reaching the ground during every northern season. The danger, once overwhelming in Africa, became weak, brief, and unreliable during long northern winters across increasingly distant northern landscapes. Suddenly, the melanin that protected their ancestors also blocked the sunlight their bodies desperately needed for maintaining healthy bones there. The missing resource was not immediate warmth or food, but vitamin D needed to maintain strong bones through childhood and adulthood. Skin produces vitamin D when ultraviolet B radiation reaches a cholesterol-related compound within its outer layers during periods of sun exposure. In simple terms, human skin operates like a biological solar panel using sunlight to manufacture an essential nutrient inside the body. But that solar panel cannot recognize when ultraviolet radiation is dangerous and when it has become necessary for healthy survival. Vitamin D helps the intestines absorb calcium and phosphorus, two minerals essential for normal bone growth throughout childhood and adulthood. When deficiency continues, children may develop rickets, bowed legs, weakened muscles, and visibly delayed physical growth throughout critical developmental years. Adults can also weaken, while women may face greater danger when softened pelvic bones complicate childbirth for both mother and child. In a world without supplements, medical testing, or hospitals, those consequences could continue across many generations among isolated northern communities. A person with slightly lighter skin could produce a small but useful additional amount of vitamin D under weak northern sunlight. That modest advantage supported stronger bones, healthier children, and slightly greater reproductive success within their communities over time, across generations. No one awakened overnight with different skin because evolution never works like an instant magical transformation across entire human populations. It advances through tiny advantages repeated thousands of times among the families that continue surviving through one generation after another. Slightly lighter, slightly healthier, slightly more successful at reproduction, then passing those advantages onward through countless generations of surviving families. But ancient DNA evidence shows this transformation happened later and far more unevenly than scientists once believed about northern human populations. Many ancient European hunter-gatherers still had relatively dark skin after living at northern latitudes for millennia during the prehistoric period. Cheddar Man lived in Britain around 10,000 years ago and likely had dark skin with blue eyes, according to genetic evidence. That combination appears unusual today, but it challenges familiar assumptions about how ancient Europeans looked during Europe's distant prehistoric past. So what caused very light skin to spread rapidly during only the most recent several thousand years across northern European populations? Part of the answer lies in agriculture, the revolution that permanently transformed what human communities ate for countless future generations. Hunter-gatherers consumed fatty fish organ meats and shellfish, all valuable natural sources of vitamin D throughout their varied seasonal diets. After adopting farming, many communities depended heavily on wheat, barley, and other vitamin-poor cereal crops as their primary daily calories. Food became more predictable, but dietary vitamin D intake declined significantly across many settled populations following the major agricultural transition. Bodies now depended more heavily on sunlight, intensifying natural selection toward lighter skin in northern environments across many successive generations. Agriculture never intended to change human pigmentation, yet it quietly pressed evolution's fast-forward button across countless settled northern farming populations. Skin color is not controlled by one gene, despite the simple story many people still imagine about human inheritance today. It is a polygenic trait shaped by numerous variants influencing how much melanin the body produces across generations and environments. Even more remarkably, different populations did not necessarily use the same genetic changes to adapt under broadly comparable environmental pressures. Europeans and many East Asian populations independently developed lighter skin, while living under weaker ultraviolet conditions over many thousands of years. However, the genetic pathways producing those similar results differed considerably among regions and populations across several separate human evolutionary histories. Evolution reached comparable answers through several separate molecular routes across distant parts of the world over immense stretches of evolutionary time. This process is called convergent evolution, when separate populations independently develop similar solutions under comparable pressures over long evolutionary timescales. It destroys the idea that humanity climbed one evolutionary ladder from darker skin toward lighter skin. Throughout all human history, no skin tone represents an absolute victory. Each body was calibrated for a different ancestral sky over thousands of generations. Light and dark skin are both survival solutions, not medals for ranking the worth of human beings within modern society. Yet throughout history, humans looked at skin color and constructed borders, hierarchies, exploitation, and oppression across entire civilizations and empire. We transformed a sunlight adaptation into an excuse for judging intelligence, dignity, and the right to live throughout recorded human history. But melanin measures neither kindness, creativity, courage, intelligence, nor the fundamental worth of any person in any meaningful biological sense. It only records how much sunlight distant ancestors encountered within the environments where they survived over many thousands of years. The same sun pushed some populations toward more melanin, protecting folate and DNA from intense radiation under intense equatorial sunlight. That same sun pushed other populations toward less melanin, helping their bodies produce sufficient vitamin D under weaker northern sunlight. The sun chose no side, granted no privilege, and never decided which people deserved higher status within any human society. It simply radiated indifferently while human bodies adjusted themselves enough to survive and reproduce across countless difficult generations of survival. The differences once used to divide us are merely several solutions to the same biological problem throughout recorded human history. And every solution began within one shared ancestral population standing beneath the African sun hundreds of thousands of years ago. After learning this, I no longer see skin color as a simple label covering the human body that we inherit. I see an ancient letter sent by our ancestors through sunlight, migration, hunger, pregnancy, and survival through countless human generations. Every shade proves that a family adapted long enough for its descendants to remain alive today beneath many changing skies. Some were protected from brutal sunlight. Others absorbed scarce light through long, unforgiving northern winters far from the equator for survival. No one chooses their skin at birth yet. Societies still make people suffer because of it throughout their entire lives. This is what troubles me most. We judge one another through an inheritance designed for survival from our distant ancestors. What once prevented our ancestors from disappearing became a reason their descendants used to cause suffering throughout later human history. But looked at deeply enough, every skin tone tells the same story of human adaptation across countless generations of survival. Next time you study your hand, remember you are holding part of humanity's entire evolutionary history written directly into your skin. It is not a history of who stood higher, but how all of us survived beneath one sun through every changing environment.